Yeah.
Good morning and welcome to another of our midweek conversations in this series that we're doing at Emmanuel to meet the family of Emmanuel. And we started off with the leadership team and then we interviewed Peter last week. But we're back to the leadership team just as we speak with Chris Stamper this morning. Welcome to you, Chris. You're looking good.
Thank you very much. Nice to be here.
Just tell us a little bit about yourself, Chris, for those who don't know.
Right, I'm the ancient member of the leadership team. I've just discovered I am the elder member. I actually come from a family where I've got two other brothers. I come from the other side of the Pennines in Lancashire. No apologies for that. But
Somebody has to.
somebody has to. We had to bring electricity and so on this side, so that's what I do. I have lots of interests. I support Blackpool Football Club. I love cooking. I think if I'd have done anything else, I wanted when I was young to be a chef and to combine it with my love of steam trains. But my mother taught me out of it. Probably a wise move, really. But I also collect lots of things, much to Christine's disdain, I think.
And when you're moving, that's a difficulty, I guess, is it?
Well, actually, it's been quite good, really, because I've discovered all sorts of things. Absolutely unbelievable. And amongst them, lots and lots of prayer books and sort of religious books, which has been really a tonic. Things have come back. And I'm thinking, you know what, I ought to reread that. So that's been good. I've managed to completely check out all the rocks and so on that had absolutely some fantastic minerals, absolutely beautiful. And then all sorts of other things as well.
Is that because, just tell us a little bit about your working life? You were a teacher?
I was, yes. I moved around a bit. I first started in comprehensive school, actually, near Coventry. And that was a great beginning, really. I really liked that. It was in a secondary school, it was very demanding, but I really enjoyed all that. And then I went on to do some of the evening work there. In fact, I was in charge of that because I lived quite close to there. And then I moved up to Darlington, into the sixth form area, because that's the area that I really wanted to specialise in. And I spent a good few years there. And then I think somebody in the staff room, I don't think it was malicious particularly, but they said to me, there's a job for you in Barnsley. So I'm going to admit this on screen. I didn't exactly know where Barnsley was. I knew it was somewhere between Sheffield and Leeds. So I had to go to the stock room and just check it out. So I came out and I thought, oh, well, that's not too bad. So I applied for that and I ended up in Barnsley then. Yeah. But I had lived and worked in Wolverhampton before that, before I went into teaching, actually, because I had another job in the civil service. I worked in the civil service before that. And I was a bit disillusioned with that because I found after a year, they said to me, oh, well, that's it now. You've learned the job. No promotion for at least 10 years. Now, to tell somebody that when they're 21, not a good thing, really. So I moved into the sort of teaching. I got a job actually in, several jobs. I got one in Malawi, I got one in Belize, I got one in New Zealand. I decided, though, they were all a bit too far to swim, and I'm not a good swimmer. So I ended up here, eventually in Barnsley.
And is that where you met Christine and then you had the family? And
yeah, that's right. Yeah, we grew up there, and we're just about, we think, for the second time, selling our family home. We think we've got a buyer. Really nice memories of that home. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about how lockdown's been for you. Has it been hard work? Has there been moments of glory and wonder and joy, or has it been a bit all black and doom?
No, it hasn't been all black and doom. I think the obvious thing is that our lifestyle changed completely because we were looking after the grandchildren, and that suddenly came to full stop. And I think, I think Christine probably found it more difficult than I did, but we managed to work around that, and gradually, through the wonders of technology, we've managed to sort that out, or at least Christine. And the other thing was really good, and it was really motoring, was to try and improve fitness. And so the daily walk was wonderful. And of course, we met you several times on these walks, accidentally, of course. But we were really enjoying those. And now I've kind of, with the latest event, I've kind of been pulled back a bit. And I'm finding now I'm pretty wobbly, and I'm going to have to relearn all that. But no, it was good really in many ways, because over the years I have had this, urge is the wrong thing, but if you say at Christmas, what do you want? And if you say socks, that's the worst thing you can say, because you get socks for 10 years. Well, I've been saying artists, materials and things. So when I went up into the loft, I found a mass of oil paints, of water paints, of gouache, every single possible paint you could possibly think of. So we hauled all these out, and I started doing some painting. Now, I do not profess to be particularly good. I've even joined an art club with Jeff Sawyer. And I produced, and I have to say I was quite proud of this, quite an interest. I took an old postcard, for example, of Blackpool, where I used to live, of the North Pier, because I had great sentimental times on there. But it was 1902, this was a bit earlier than I was around. But I actually produced it, and I thought, do you know what, that isn't bad. And I thought, well, so those were some really good things. So I managed to do a lot of things that I wouldn't have been able to do, I think. So it has been difficult, obviously, like a lot of other people, of staying in. And I think now, with the new development that I've got, it seems like it could be a double lockdown, because I don't think I'll be going out very far at the moment for a while. But do you know what? We'll cope.
Yeah, because you've obviously been a little bit ill as well during lockdown, so I'm grateful that you're able to talk to us today. In that difficult time, and in the lockdown difficult time, what sort of sustains you?
Well, I think through the whole of this, it all boils down to the bottom line, that you've got to say that he is my rock. And I think that is the underlying thing at the end of the day. I've thought about this, and you could answer it in many ways, but or now I suppose you'd say he's my lighthouse, but with a great song that it is. And I think that is the bottom line, that when things really get hard and tough, that that he is there for you, and that is the bottom line, that sustains me through everything.
That's great, that God is our rock, our strength. When everything else shifts, he's the one that remains fixed and firm.
Yeah, and I think that's a great thing to remember. And to have it's always boiled down to that in the very end. You can say all sorts of different things, but he does not shift then. He is always there for you. And that has been the same through other difficult times that I've had, that you try to explain it perhaps in different ways, but the bottom line is that, I think. And I think you have to bear that in mind.
And have you done any practical things in terms of faith? Have you done extra reading, in these books that you found? Has it been prayer, as connecting online with other people? What other things maybe have helped as well?
Well, we have a men's group, as you know, and I enjoy being part of that, because although I'm the elder statesman there, I feel that a lot of the guys there they need the church's guidance, and I hope to some extent that through the way I've lived my life and my experience, that maybe I can sort of inspire them and give them something to hold on to. So that has been good. We haven't managed to meet very often because of my incapacities, but I know the link is still there. And strangely enough, I had something that came to me in hospital, and it just said to me, ask one of the members, I said, just ask him to say a prayer for me, which I did. And it ultimately was answered. But I mean, I don't know why that happened, but it was that link, which was good. Interesting, I've always had difficulty with prayer. I make no bones about that. I always have had difficulties. And yet I've come across a pile of, well, they're sort of small cards, which David Hamby actually used to give out a while back. And I still kept them all. And I've been looking through some of those, actually. And I've also looked through a number of the books that I've got off the shelves. And so I've rekindled. And I think it's good for people to do that, you know, to revisit things that maybe you've put on one side and they're there for me to look at. Yeah.
Okay. And you know, in terms of the length of your life, has faith always been significant, or have there been moments when you've not believed or not been part of a church? You know, where has your life of faith taken you?
Yeah, well, interestingly enough, although my parents never went to church particularly, they did encourage me and the family to go, first of all, to Sunday school, like many did. But it was strange, really. I really, really am so thankful for the life they brought me up to. Although it was sadly cut short for me. I lost my father when I was 14, and that's a very difficult age. And my mum when I was 21, which again was a significant age. But the background, the basis, you know, the foundation and everything that they give to me has taken me through all the difficulties of life. And I think up until about 20 odd, I struggled a lot. I went to Sunday school, I went to church, I was an Anglican, so I went through the usual confirmation and so on. And then there was a period that I went into the wilderness for about 10 years, I think. Not through my doing, but it was just the way things happened to be. And then I ended up sitting in a little country church in Sheffield Circuit, wondering, why has he put me here? Because it was probably one of the most dreary, I remember it, dull green churches that you could imagine, and had about 10 people in it. And this is when I met Christine, and I think our faith grew, took off, moved in a way in which we worked with a lot of the young people all the time. It was quite amazing. We were a very small village, and we only had about 8 or sometimes maybe 10 young people, but they would come to church and we would do the services for them. And I don't know what's happening there. Christine will get that, I hope. Anyway, we'll carry on. And that was an amazing time, really. And we, much as I was to say, we had a rather elderly population that sometimes didn't like us putting the Sunday school work up in the Sunday school room, but we soldiered on and we did pantomimes together. And do you know what? The great thing is, those people now come to the same church, but they come to the toddler groups as adults, and we still have a great rapport with them. And I think that is really wonderful. It's a testimony to God's work, really, because he's carried that on. And if nothing else, then, you know, I think that's been something that has been a wonderful testimony, and something for them as well, because we know we've had, or God's work has had an impact, which has been great for them.
Cool, that's good. I think you've hinted at more than one occasion that, you know, life sometimes has its ups and downs. In the hard times, you've reflected that, you know, God is our rock and our strength. In those other moments when it's been hard, what's kept you going in those times?
Well, I think there are many times when you feel, there is at the moment times that I pray, and I've prayed more for things in recent times, and things go a different way to the ones you expect. And he's told me this many times, but I'm not learning the lesson. I'm not listening. And it's taken a long time to think, well, you know, maybe you have to accept that this is the way it is. This is the way it is meant to be. There will be times that are difficult, times where our faith gets tested all the time. But you have to have, like I say, the basic strength to have and to know that he is the rock and he will never leave you. And so long as I think you can keep that in mind, then I think you will always accept that things are not going to be the way that you might want them to be, and that there's always, I do believe that there is a reason for why things happen in the way they happen. And so I think sometimes it's difficult for us to accept that maybe the path we would like to take is not the path that we're going to be taking.
And I think often when you look back, you maybe see why something happened, don't you, that you couldn't understand at the time. You know, that benefit of, is it hindsight or God's sight? I don't know.
Yes.
You know,
I'm a great believer of that. I've said to many times at the men's group, you know what? Life's a little bit like a huge jigsaw. And there's a piece in the corner there that you've no idea why it's sitting there. And it will be many, many years, could be many, many years, and in circumstances that you do not understand before that is opened up to you and actually it becomes apparent. And I think that is a wonderful revelation when it does come. That is something that is really marvellous. But yes, it's a bit like that. And so that is part of your faith. I think you have to say, look, I don't know why this has happened, but you know that it will be revealed eventually. I've had 3 goes with the Grim Reaper now recently, so I don't know what that's all about. But you know, he's been there. And do you know what? The second one, I have to say this. The second one, when I was in Sheffield, there, when I think I've seen the other side. I don't know. I've told you, but it appears that way. I had a strange feeling there that not once was I actually afraid. That one particular night when I was in the high dependency unit there, I had a strange I suppose it was a feeling of God is with me. I was in a difficult situation, and then the day after, I called my 2 angels. It was unbelievable because I came round and sitting there with Jeff and Jenny Sawyer, and it was just as though, and there's Jenny with the ice cream, which, by the way, has deteriorated in standard recently, but when it was there a few years ago, and she was feeding me this, and that's the first thing I'd eaten for about a week, and I thought, do you know what? Unbelievable. But there we go.
So often, I think what you're saying, I'm reflecting and hearing you say, God often sends other people as well to help us through those difficult times. And as you say, you know, you've been ill on death's door, perhaps even a couple of times, but people have been sent, skills have been given to medics and whatever, and God's seen you through.
Absolutely unbelievable. Yes, yes.
And I often say to people, I don't think being a Christian is an insurance policy. It doesn't mean that bad things won't happen, but when the bad things do happen, God is with us and God sends others to help us.
Absolutely true. I would say that. And I think the humbling thing for me is that it makes me feel so humble that this has happened, because I have a tendency myself to think I would like to think that I can help others, that I can use my skills that God's given me to inspire others and so most of the time you're in a situation where you're trying to help others, but in situations like this, I've been put in a situation where I cannot do it on my own, and but there have been others that have been there to help, and that has been most humbling, I think, as a Christian. Yeah,
I really resonate with that, because often when you're a giver, it's hard to receive, but it is important to learn to receive, because then other people can give to you.
absolutely, yes, it is. Yeah,
So
but
tell me, you know, if you had to share the essence of your faith quite simply and quite succinctly, you know, you've not got long, what would you say to another who hasn't maybe had that same experience of faith?
yeah, well,
what does your faith mean to you?
I would say, to sum this up, I would say that my faith is the basis on which I try to live my life, and it underpins who I am, what I am, and why I'm here. I think, in essence, that is what I would say to people.
Brilliant. And you've been part of Emmanuel probably for about 8 or 9 years, I think, but if maybe not a bit longer.
Bit longer.
What do you value most about Emmanuel?
Well, I think what I would say was the actual fellowship, and it goes in line with what we were saying there about people who are there. You feel a support there. When Christine and I came to the church, we were hurting a bit. I won't go into why, but we were. And it was as though there was, and nobody needed to say anything, there was a cradle around us, which was a loving cradle there. And we felt that. And eventually we've become part of that fellowship, and we feel that fellowship with the others, all sorts of people, you know, from yourselves, from ministers, from your family, from everybody else that deals with the church. It's lots and lots of people. It is just there, and you know it is there, and that support to me is unbelievable, and it's a two-way thing. I hope that in some small way I can support whatever needs people may have there, and I know for certain that they've done the same for me, for which I'm eternally grateful.
I love that image of Emmanuel being a cradle for those who are vulnerable and hurting. That's a lovely, lovely picture. And that actually, once we have been cradled, then we can be part of the cradling of another. And
absolutely,
especially in lockdown and following lockdown, I fear the difficulties people are going to face in terms of unemployment and loss of income, and a sense of who they are and where they're going, you know, increase in food banks and increase in mental health issues. That image of Emmanuel being a cradle holding others, maybe who are not connected at the moment with the life of the church, is a great, powerful picture for us to hold on to.
Good, I think good, yeah.
And finally, what are your hopes for the future?
I hope, and always have hoped, that Emmanuel will, and I think it is doing, because I think we have a great leadership team who have worked wonders over the past few weeks, and I think they are helping to shape perhaps a different way in which we operate our services, in which way we look after or cradle others. And I'm privileged to be part of that, although I'm a bit latent at the moment, but I hope I will play a part at some stage more. I just want to see, the outreach, if you like, whichever way or whatever way it comes. And I think maybe the way I've been praying for is, the prayers have not been answered, but that doesn't mean that things won't happen. It's just maybe, like we've said before, things may go in a different direction, which I appreciate, and I think it will, and I just hope that Emmanuel as a church will grow from strength to strength. I'm sure it will, and I just pray that God will bless everybody that is there, and everybody that works with people from Emmanuel, and that we can spread God's word in whatever way it will be.
And we hope for you, Chris, certainly that you strengthen and heal in the weeks and days to come, because I know it's been another tough patch, but it seems like you're coming through, and certainly looking at you this morning, you look great. I know that your mobility is a bit challenging at the moment, but I'm sure you will get there, and we hope and pray that you will strengthen. Thank you for being in conversation with me. It's been lovely to hear some of your story, and to find out where God's been involved and how God's been faithful, the rock and the cradler for you. That's fantastic. Love to you and the family. Thank you for joining with me today.
Thanks.